750 tons of advanced Iranian weapons, intercepted in the Red Sea, bound for the Houthis, complete anti-ship cruise missiles, ballistic missile components, air defense systems, hundreds of drone engines, all seized in the largest weapons interdiction in Yemeni history. This wasn't smuggling. This was an industrial-scale military supply. And what they found inside proves Iran has been arming the Houthis with weapons sophisticated enough to sink warships and down American drones. This is the seizure that exposed Iran's secret pipeline. Let's break down exactly what was on board, how 750 tons disappeared. The exact date remains undisclosed. The location: somewhere in the Red Sea, likely just off Yemen's western coastline. The force behind the operation wasn't a Navy or a Western task force, but Yemen's National Resistance Forces under General Tarek Saleh. They aren't the internationally recognized Yemeni government, but they possess something far more valuable in this war: U.S. intelligence. That intelligence flagged a massive weapons shipment moving through waters the Houthis believed they controlled. The vessel's identity remains secret, as is standard practice during high-value interdictions, but the cargo made secrecy unnecessary. Once NRF units boarded, they discovered 750 tons of military hardware, fully assembled systems, not components. CENTCOM issued a public congratulations. They almost never do. When they go on record, it means two things. The seizure mattered strategically, and U.S. intelligence directly enabled it. General Michael Eric Kurilla summarized it with a single sentence: Iran remains the most destabilizing actor in the region. In other words, Iran was caught red-handed. What was actually on board? The arsenal breakdown. This wasn't small arms or ammunition. This was an entire battlefield in cargo form. What Iran was really sending? The NRF uncovered one of the largest missile shipments ever intercepted in the Red Sea. Inside the seized cargo were hundreds of Al-Mandab, 2 anti-ship cruise missiles, the very same weapons the Houthis have used to strike commercial vessels since late 2023. These missiles are not improvised rockets. They are sophisticated, sea-skimming systems, derived from Iran's Noor missile, which itself is based on the Chinese C-802. With a range of about 120 kilometers and a 165-kilogram high-explosive warhead, these missiles are capable of crippling cargo ships or damaging naval vessels. Their presence, in such large numbers, made something undeniable. Iran wasn't resupplying. Iran was preparing its proxies for long-term naval warfare. Alongside them were hundreds of Type 358 surface-to-air missiles. An Iranian-made system specifically engineered to target drones and low-flying aircraft. These missiles are the reason the Houthis have been able to shoot down dozens of U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drones, each worth $30 million. When you add up the confirmed losses, the U.S. military has already absorbed nearly $700 million in destroyed unmanned aircraft. Capturing a stockpile this large means the Houthis were preparing for a prolonged anti-air campaign, not merely defending territory, but actively hunting American drones. The NRF also discovered GAME 118 interceptors, one of Iran's latest anti-drone systems that has only recently appeared publicly. Its presence in the shipment shows that Iran was exporting frontline technology still in development, giving the Houthis access to tools capable of countering Western reconnaissance and strike drones directly. The drone factory in a box. Engines, seekers, radars, warheads. What stunned investigators the most was the drone infrastructure inside the shipment. Nearly 100 twin-cylinder engines compatible with Shahed 131 and Shahed 136 drones were found. These are the same engines Russia uses in Ukraine, and the Houthis use in long-range kamikaze attacks against ships and regional targets. Each engine is cheap, but powerful enough to turn a simple airframe into a $20,000 precision strike drone. A shipment of this scale wasn't defensive. It was designed to enable mass production. Hundreds of engines meant hundreds of future drones. Even more significant were the fully manufactured guidance systems and seekers. These were not generic electronics. They were infrared and radar homing units designed specifically for anti-ship missiles to lock onto targets during final approach. Alongside them were fully assembled warheads ready for installation. This proves that Houthi workshops are not independently producing advanced missiles. They are receiving factory-grade subsystems from Iran that require minimal assembly before deployment. Supporting all of this were air defense radars and communication systems. These systems form the backbone of modern warfare. Radars detect incoming aircraft and drones, while communication equipment links various units so they can coordinate attacks. These are the same types of systems the Houthis use to track U.S. fighter jets, coalition aircraft, and commercial shipping. Every time the Houthis launch a missile toward a ship, these are the systems providing the targeting data. Iran wasn't just sending weapons. It was exporting the electronics infrastructure that turns a militia into a functioning military force. The shipment also contained gear designed for ground warfare. Delavia anti-tank guided missiles, Misog-Man portable air defense systems, thermal weapon sights, sniper rifle accessories, and advanced optics. The Delavia, Iran's version of the Russian Kornet, has been used by the Houthis to destroy Saudi M1 Abrams tanks. This proved that Iran's support wasn't limited to maritime attacks. It extended to every front of the conflict. The evidence that removes all doubt: Iranian manuals and sanctioned manufacturers. The most incriminating items discovered weren't the missiles or the engines, but the documents that accompanied them. NRF forces found operational manuals written in Farsi, not Arabic, and manufacturing stamps from companies directly tied to Iran's Ministry of Defense. These companies are already under U.S. sanctions for exporting weapons to proxy groups. Their presence in this shipment removes any plausible deniability. These weapons weren't purchased on the black market. They weren't leftover Soviet stock being smuggled through commercial channels. They were state-manufactured Iranian systems, shipped straight from Iranian hands to Houthi fighters. The Houthis often claim their missiles and drones are domestically produced. Their propaganda videos show rows of supposedly local factories and homemade designs. But this seizure proves the opposite. The technology is Iranian. The components are Iranian. The documentation is Iranian. The entire supply chain traces back to Tehran. This was not improvisation. This was a state-backed weapons pipeline. And that's why the seizure matters. It exposes the scale of Iran's proxy warfare strategy. It reveals how Iranian intelligence, manufacturing, and logistics enable a militia in Yemen to threaten commercial shipping, U.S. drones, and regional stability. It provides the clearest evidence yet that the Houthis' military power does not come from Yemen. It comes from Iran. Why this seizure matters? This wasn't the first time Iranian weapons bound for Yemen were intercepted. Earlier in 2024, the U.S. Coast Guard seized a shipment of missile components and drone parts. In 2013, another Iranian arms load disguised as cement was stopped in the Arabian Sea. But none of those operations compare to this. The scale here is unprecedented. 750 tons of weaponry, including fully assembled anti-ship cruise missiles, advanced radars, anti-drone interceptors, and complete guidance systems. This single haul represents months of planned Houthi attacks, neutralized in one strike. The weapons seized could have sunk commercial ships across the Red Sea, hit Saudi oil infrastructure, reached Israeli territory, and downed more American drones. Capturing this shipment didn't just prevent attacks. It removed an entire operational pipeline, and it exposed how aggressively Iran is trying to rearm its proxy. Despite heavy surveillance of the Red Sea, Tehran still attempted a delivery of this scale, which means either they trust their routes or their stockpiles in Yemen are running dangerously low. What this seizure really proves is how deeply U.S. intelligence is now embedded in the region. The NRF didn't simply find 750 tons of weapons. They were guided to them through satellite tracking, signals intercepts, and human intelligence. Every interdiction reveals more of Iran's smuggling network and makes the next one even harder to execute. How the seizure exposed Iran's pipeline. The 750-ton weapons haul didn't just cripple Houthi capabilities, it exposed how much of their military power comes directly from Iran. The Houthis can modify equipment, assemble simple drones, and rebuild damaged systems. But they can't manufacture advanced seekers, drone engines, air defense radars, or precision missile electronics. Yemen lacks the factories, engineers, and infrastructure for that level of technology. What this seizure revealed was a fully engineered Iranian supply chain, finished guidance systems, complete warheads, Farsi manuals, and components produced by sanctioned Iranian defense companies. This wasn't black market scrap. It was state-manufactured equipment, shipped to a proxy force with military precision. The shipment also included radar modules and communications gear, the systems that allow Houthis to track U.S. aircraft and coordinate missile launches. With these, Iran isn't just arming them, it's building a complete integrated air and maritime strike network inside Yemen. Why the 750-ton interdiction changed everything. The NRF didn't stumble onto this shipment. U.S. intelligence satellites, signals interception, and human sources tracked the transfer. When the National Resistance Forces boarded the vessel, they found prepared weapons, anti-ship cruise missiles, drone engines, SAM systems, ATGMs, and electronic warfare components, enough to fuel months of attacks across the Red Sea and the Arabian Peninsula. All of it now becomes intelligence gold. U.S. analysts will study the electronics, trace serial numbers, and map smuggling patterns. Every circuit board and guidance chip reveals how Iran moves weapons, who builds them, and where they're shipped from. Some hardware will be dismantled, some preserved for training, but the real value is the data. This seizure also proved a broader truth. Without Iran's manufacturing pipeline, the Houthis wouldn't have the ability to threaten commercial shipping or shoot down American drones. The Red Sea crisis is an Iranian strategy executed through a Yemeni proxy. The Houthi pipeline mirrors Iran's support for Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and Shia militias in Iraq and Syria. Missiles, drones, advisors, training, all part of a long-term play destabilize the region while maintaining deniability. When a U.S. drone falls or a commercial ship burns, Iran says it had nothing to do with it. But shipments like this destroy that narrative. UN Security Council Resolution 2216 bans arms transfers to the Houthis. Iran signed it. Iran ignored it. And now, 750 tons of seized evidence sit in NRF custody to prove it. The NRF factor. Led by General Tariq Saleh, the NRF has become one of the most effective anti-Houthi forces in Yemen. They control key coastal areas, gather intelligence, and work directly with U.S. partners. CENTCOM's unusually public praise was a signal. These are the people helping cut off Iran's pipeline. Their interdiction didn't just seize weapons, it bought time. Every missile, every radar, every drone engine captured is one less threat to commercial shipping, Saudi infrastructure, or U.S. forces. And every seizure makes Iran's smuggling routes harder to hide. 750 tons of Iranian weapons, seized before they could kill more sailors, sink more ships, or down more drones. The largest interdiction in Yemen's history, and undeniable proof that Iran is arming the Houthis with advanced military technology. The Houthi threat isn't homegrown, it's made in Iran. And every seizure exposes that pipeline a little more. If you want more breakdowns of what's really happening in the Middle East, hit subscribe, because this story is far from over.